The sound of water hitting the kitchen floor was the first thing I heard when I opened the door, but it was not the leak that made me freeze. It was her. My ex-girlfriend's younger sister, standing barefoot in the middle of the apartment with water spreading around her feet, looking at me as if she had been waiting for that exact moment for years. I had come with a wrench in one hand and a toolbox in the other, expecting a simple favor and a quick goodbye. Instead, before I could even kneel beside the broken sink, she looked into my eyes and told me to stay because she had been waiting for an excuse. In that moment, every memory I had spent years trying to bury came rushing back, and I realized that some doors do not reopen quietly. Sometimes, they burst open when you least expect them to. Before we continue, if you believe that people deserve kindness and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps bring more emotional stories to life and reminds us that sometimes the people who change our future are the ones we never expected to see again. Her name was Lily, and I had known her since she was 16. I had been 24 when I started dating her older sister, Emma, and back then Lily had been the quiet girl who always seemed to be sitting somewhere in the background with a book in her hands. At family dinners, Emma would be talking loudly about work, vacations, friends, and plans for the future, while Lily listened more than she spoke. I remembered fixing a loose shelf in their mother's hallway once, and Lily had stood nearby watching me work. I had laughed and told her that she should learn how to fix things herself someday. She had smiled in that shy way of hers and said that maybe she would, if someone patient taught her. At the time, I had thought nothing of it. I loved Emma, or at least I thought I did. For 3 years, I built my life around her. I worked extra shifts at a repair shop, saved money for a future apartment, and spent weekends doing whatever she wanted because I believed sacrifice was what love looked like. But somewhere along the way, Emma began seeing my efforts as obligations instead of gifts. She wanted a faster life, a better car, nicer restaurants, more expensive vacations. I was still covered in grease by the end of most days, still trying to build something slowly with my own hands. Eventually, she told me that she was tired of waiting for a life I might never be able to give her. She left me for someone who already had everything I was still trying to earn. The breakup did not destroy me in one dramatic moment. It happened slowly, like a crack spreading through glass. First came the silence in my apartment. Then the empty side of the closet. Then the messages that stopped arriving. I spent months convincing myself that I was fine, but I was not. I worked longer hours because exhaustion was easier than thinking. I fixed other people's broken pipes, doors, engines, and appliances while quietly wondering why I had never been able to fix my own life. Lily disappeared from my world with Emma. I assumed that was how it had to be. Then, nearly 4 years later, my phone rang on a rainy Tuesday evening. Her number was not saved, but I recognized it immediately. She sounded embarrassed when she explained that the kitchen sink in her apartment had started leaking badly and the plumber she had called could not come until the next day. She said she knew I probably did not want to hear from anyone connected to Emma, but she remembered that I used to fix almost anything. I almost said no. In fact, the word was already forming in my mind. But something in her voice stopped me. It was not manipulative or demanding. It was simply tired. So I drove across town. The apartment was small, older, and quieter than I expected. There were moving boxes against one wall, a half-finished cup of tea on the counter, and a stack of unpaid envelopes beside the refrigerator. Lily had changed. She was no longer the shy teenager I remembered. She was 26 now, with her dark hair tied loosely behind her head and the tired expression of someone who had spent too many nights pretending everything was under control. I fixed the pipe in less than 30 minutes. Then came the moment I had not expected. Instead of thanking me and walking me to the door, Lily stood there twisting her fingers together. She looked toward the rain outside, then back at me. Finally, she admitted that the sink had been leaking for several days. She had known it was not an emergency. She had called me because she had wanted to see me, but she had not known how to say that without sounding foolish. And that was when she asked me to stay. Not because she wanted something reckless. Not because she had been secretly waiting to steal her sister's old boyfriend. Her voice shook as she explained that after Emma and I broke up, Lily had wanted to call me many times. She had seen how hard I had tried to make the relationship work. She had also seen things I had never known. Emma had been unhappy long before she left, but instead of telling me honestly, she had mocked my dreams behind my back. Lily had heard conversations that broke her heart because she knew how much I loved her sister. She said she had always felt guilty for staying silent. I sat across from her at that small kitchen table while the rain pressed against the windows. For the first time in years, someone was talking to me about my heartbreak without telling me to simply move on. Lily did not excuse her sister. She did not try to convince me that everything happened for a reason. She simply apologized for a silence that had never been her responsibility. I told her she did not owe me that apology. But she shook her head and told me that sometimes silence could hurt almost as much as betrayal. That night, I stayed for tea. Then I stayed for dinner because neither of us had eaten. And before I left, I noticed one of the boxes against the wall was labeled with the name of a hospital. Lily finally admitted that her mother had been ill for months. She had been working 2 jobs, helping with medical expenses, and trying to keep her own life from